Okay, so Vit12 made an extreme demon out of extreme demons, and since I want views, I'm gonna do the same thing, except with insane demons. Today, I will be remaking Acropolis, and this is what I made, and how I made it. And yeah, now it's time to begin with the gameplay. So I want you to just jump here at the beginning, then go on this classic block right here with the 5 spike. For the gameplay itself, I wanted to take inspiration from the first cube part and the last wave part, since I think they're the most iconic parts of the level. I'll then place down another 5 spike right here, maybe just a 4 spike. I don't want to be too evil with this. Yeah, so then I'll do like a staircase, or I guess, yeah, just do this into the wave parts, but that's a little bit too late, so like, I'll place another spike right here, then place the portal like here maybe, then delete these spikes. The wave part took very little time to make, but it did need some adjustments, like I really had to improve the spam. That works. Let's just see if I map this gameplay out well. That feels pretty tight, but then again, this is Acropolis, so naturally it should be even tighter. So I'll just place some spikes around here. Yeah, that means that I'll obviously spend way more time on the decoration. I'll make this kind of like this type of a spam, which was at the end of Acropolis. But with all of that done, let's begin with the decoration for the part. So since this is Acropolis, I'll use some of those brick objects, or maybe I can use the bricks that Acropolis used, except way better than Acropolis. So yeah, let's say these objects right here can be color 1, which just copies the background, and then these can also be color 1 but with like double brightness. Then I'll of course place in my lovely black inner outlines. I will die if I don't use these black inner outlines. That looks promising already, but it definitely does not have enough detail. I then placed glow here, here, and here. Glow just makes everything better, you know. But this still needs more detail. I don't want this to be insanely simple. I'll add the 3D. So I'll do pretty simple 3D. Maybe I can try to use these simple objects. Yeah, maybe I can make it like this, and then copy paste these, and then make them black. Yeah, but it needs one more detail. I feel like it should have one more detail to it. So like, maybe I just add glow. How could I forget about glow? Glow is amazing. And after adding some glow to the design, let's see what the block design looks like so far. So yeah, I think that will be the block design that I'll go for. Pretty simple. There is one more thing that I want to add, which was, of course, like ever since Vit12 did this, that I have began using it. Because they pretty much just fill up space, I guess. What I'll do now is work on the I'll work on the ground spikes. So what I want to do for the ground spikes is kind of make like a big sphere, you know? No, that looks bad. But what do I do instead? I'll just use my beloved technical ground spikes. And yeah, I'll put this below all of the stuff. You've probably seen me do this ground spike design way too many times, so we skip that. Man, it's really fun to just like remake like simple and old levels, because you have a lot of freedom, you know? Now, I'll add some very crucial details, which is the overlay glow. I'll just take these two objects right here, make this black and make this blending, make both of these T4, and scale them up. Maybe scale them up even more, you know? Now let's just copy and paste that throughout the part. And yeah, that just makes everything feel so much better. And now I'll work on a custom background. For this custom background, I want to just take these objects right here. Like, yeah, I'll just draw with these. You know, drawing with Wooful. So here I am trying to represent some ruins with the art that I'm doing. Making some kind of cracked stuff in the sky. And then I'll just carefully paint all of this in, you know? And then, okay, that's enough of that. I'll make these be 4 and make them have a low opacity. And then I can just scale them up a lot. And after I made the custom background move, I also made it look pretty good. Yeah, I like this. This is getting together. And yeah, what I think I'll do now is just do the boring task of filling in this entire block design. After that, I think I'll do some more interesting stuff here. But now, we have to fill in the block design. But while I'm doing that, I have an interesting announcement to make. Wooful memberships are now a thing. Smash that join button for member-only videos and streams, playtesting my levels, private Discord server, the list goes on and on. And while you're there, please subscribe, man. I spend a lot of time on these videos, and any support would be highly appreciated. But let's get back to me recreating Acropolis. Okay, so I've now finished filling in the block design for the rest of these structures, which took less than I expected. But yeah, let's continue adding more actual useful details. It began with a failure. I tried to make a custom foreground, but yeah, that looked pretty bad. No, why does that look so bad? So yeah, what I think I'll do now is like work on some air deco and some movements. I just spammed lots of random objects to make the air deco, like these glow pillars, these arrows, and these spikes, and luckily they looked pretty good. Then it was the movement, which also didn't take very long. I've linked all of the structures together and this all looks absolutely ridiculous. So now I'll just put them back together and then give them groups. But I'll have it so that these will first like move in. Maybe make it just one block with a little bit slower fade time. So let's see. And yeah, now it's just pulses. So I think I'll do some slight pulses to the background, like, and maybe like for the do 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 and the de de de, it's like pulsing different brightnesses. Maybe like right here, as well as moving down, it'll move like 5 blocks to the left. And after making the transition out of the part, the Acropolis part was finished. This video is a little bit shorter than my other videos, but anyways, let's get to the final showcase of the level so far. One final thing, I've uploaded a poll for you guys to vote on what level I should do next, so yeah, see you in episode 2, okay, bye. You guys had a long war on my newest poll to decide the ultimate insane demon's next victim. And the level that I will be remaking next is Supersonic by Synthic Alpha and more. And here is what I made and how I made it. So, we are back working on the Ultimate Insane Demon. A lot of people suggested that, like, the level was way too bright and I had to make it darker. But after, like, making it darker, it feels way better now. But anyways, since you guys voted for Supersonic, that's the level that I'm gonna remake next. It was pretty hard for me to find out which part I would remake, but I decided to do the 2 final parts since they looked pretty good. Then have another big platform right here. I guess make this platform shorter, but have some spikes at the end. I wanted to have a lot of fake orbs in the cube part, but I also wanted them to be not that frustrating to do so that the level would still be pretty enjoyable. Let's do one here with a blue orb inside of it. Then I guess it's better to make it like this as it was in Supersonic. I'll put down a yellow portal with an orb here. Let's put down a blue portal here with a yellow orb as well. Put down another blue portal right here with a orb in it. I continued building gameplay like this until I discovered something pretty interesting. Oh, that has given me the idea that I want to add coins to this. I did a pretty simple coin route with the swag route and just adding a pretty hard timing right after it. And let's just hope that Cohen likes it. I never expected that I would add coins to this, especially because it's like an insane demon. Then I'll do this ship part right here. I began by mapping out the gameplay as I always do with making my ship gameplay. Then I'll just place like the saw blades around the place. But I think if I place these down, then the main gameplay is done. So that means that I just have to like structure all of this. I think with that, the gameplay for this part is pretty much done. Pretty not similar to the Acropolis part, but I'm also pretty excited to decorate this. I think I'll begin with setting the colors. This part right here is like a deep blue. So the main blocks that were used in the block design for this part, these 1.8 blocks and these bricks right here. So I think if I make it so that the inside of this is like 3 times brightness, I'll add the black inner outlines. You know how much I love them. I don't think I should elaborate on how much I love them, even though I do. And look how better that looks. I mean, it's not really that noticeable right now, but I feel like if I add some blending glow to this, then it'll begin to look way more noticeable. I didn't really add any interesting details to the design, and just used some of my usual glow style details. I wish I added some more variety into this, but the block design in the original part was also very simple. So something that I want to add to the inside of this, definitely some details, but I'm not entirely sure which details. What if I add like a 3rd layer of outlines, where this will be color 1 with 50 opacity brightness. And I can make this have some hue change and some brightness change as well. I adjusted some of the colors like I felt that it looked a little bit too purple before beginning on the 3D. I guess the final thing I'll do is add the 3D. And I think I'll do pretty much the exact same 3D, the Acropolis remake. This is where I add the black outlines for the 3D. Then on layer 8, I add the inside, which I guess can just be color 1. And then finally add the glow. Oh, and also I can't forget the black spikes on top of here. So yeah, I think that will be the block design I'll settle for here. I think I'll just fill in this block design to the other structures, and then I'll work on something else. So let's just while I'm filling in the block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. These videos take a lot of time and any support would be highly appreciated. I also have memberships now, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me remaking Supersonic. And with that, the entire block design for the first part is finished. Yeah, just like Acropolis, it didn't take that long, but I still like this. I guess now I'll work on the spike design. So what I want to do here, I don't want to go like full generic as my other designs, or just not have a spike design as I did in the Acropolis part. I pretty much revamped the spike design from my other Supersonic video, and I really like the simplicity of it. I'll check how it looks if like I scale it down to 0.60. Yeah, it needs some variation, so I'll just make it so that the spike has some more hue variation. And then I just copy and paste the spike design into the rest of the part. But I think now I'll do something that I didn't do in the Acropolis remake as well. I'll add some orb deco, which I haven't done in a while. I think I'll add these objects right here on just, I guess, color 1 blending. Copy it and then make that black and put that on B2. Yeah, so it's kind of like X by triaxis. And after copy and pasting the orb deco throughout the part, I wanted to add something to connect the orbs together, which is for like a chain of these objects. I guess I'll just add some chains, as I said, and then I guess just rotate this a little bit and scale it up a ton. But I did have to fix some layering before applying it to the rest of the part. And after extending the overlay glow from the previous part, I began with the ground spikes. So, the ground spikes in this part is actually surprisingly simple, as you can't really see them that much. I'll begin by using these ground spikes. I then added a blue backdrop to the ground spikes, similar to my 9 circles level, and then I tried to add some details that were questionable and didn't really work that well. Maybe I can do what I did in Arctic Peaks, where I placed some saw blades into this, but then I gotta make all of this black. I can try to make it object colored like it was in Arctic Peaks, and then move this one layer above and make that object colored. I then made the ground spikes bob up and down, sync to the music, and that looked pretty good. I then copy and pasted the ground spikes, and began on making the saw blades. So let's just place a saw blade down here. Let's make it have no rotation, and just artificially move it. I basically copy and pasted the saw blade on top of itself, changed some of the colors, and added some more details and started rotating them. Yeah, maybe this can be better. I can make it so that the rotations aren't as harsh, so maybe they're like 180 degrees and not like a full rotation. I can make them rotate to the left maybe, because that feels better. It's still possible, and even though it's very tight, it's in the beginning of the level, so it's not really that bad. I then began with a custom background, making some structures with some strange terminology. You know, the structures that are in the 9 circles ship parts, except for mini wave, or I guess mini ship. So yeah, if I just extend this out like this, that could work, but it's big as hell. If I give it like a lower brightness, copy paste it on top of itself, movement that lasts like 8 seconds, being just locking to the player X with a 0.8 modifier. Nice. After that, I added some air deco, like these arrows, and these chains connecting the saw blades to the structures. I then began with the second part, and while that didn't have as much detail as this part, it took way longer to make because of some pointless additions that I ended up deleting later on. I'll just change the background, still like the same brightness, or I guess darkness, but just make it like a green color. I began by adding some pulsing circles behind every single saw blade as it was in the original Supersonic. And for this part, I just want to add some pretty simple ground spikes. Guess I'll do these wavy ground spikes. Yeah, I'm adding clouds to this because they would be pretty cool. looking very simple so far. Yeah, that works pretty well. And then, what I want to do, I want to try to add kind of slope gradient effects. I wanted to try to do something kind of similar to Ultra Paracosm, but I guess this is like a really bad knockoff of it. And then just extending that to the top. Now I gotta go through all of these strips and give them like a group. I made the slopes have an area tint trigger effect where they would light up when they came near the player. And that was not very fun to set up, as I had many ideas that didn't really work in the slightest. Instead, I'll work on the effect that I was thinking for the saw blades. Now, I actually spent over half an hour trying to get this alpha trigger saw blade effect to work, but it looked very bad and it made the level very unsight readable, so I decided to remove it and do something else. I think it can still work. I think if I just make it like a normal ground spike thingo. After remastering the ground spike design and adding the pulses from the previous part, I would add a few more details before the part was actually done. So to go along with these area tint triggers, I kinda wanna add some slight area move to this. So again, 15 will go around the player, and I think just on this axis. That was the wrong group, and I gotta make it with the saw blades instead. Yeah, that was the final thing that they needed. Okay, so I forgot to mention this, but I had to make it so that these pulsing objects have the setting no audio scale on, and basically what that does is it just makes it so that the pulsing objects doesn't actually pulse, because since this is such a quiet part of the songs, you wouldn't really be able to see the pulsing objects. Now, the final addition to this part is of course the names of my members. My first member is Dastinity, right here on this structure right here, and my other member is GhostXan on the end of this structure here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks to the members especially much, you guys are the best. But anyways, let's get on to the final showcase of the level. So you guys decided that the ultimate insane demon's next victim will be Windy Landscape by Woogie1411. So let's see what I made and how I made it. So let's begin with the gameplay. So I don't need this like speed change, and in the original part it's well upside down, which is a lot of portals stacked on top of each other, and so I need to check if the transition here will like work well or if it's like bad. So we begin of course with like a very large structure and then like a wave spam, but like a very easy wave spam since it's obviously an insane demon. So I guess I'll do some stuff like this, maybe. I did a sort of a revamped version of the original gameplay from Windy Landscape, incorporating some more unique structures, which felt pretty nice. No matter how you enter it as a mini wave, you'll still like enter at pretty much the same exact place. The only problem is that it's pretty much impossible to get the portal to behave like that. I want to move this spam a little bit up so that it doesn't get like covered by this glow. After creating a little bit more gameplay, I switched it up by turning you big, and that gave me a whole lot of different ideas to do. And so as you do that, you go into like a sort sort of corridor like this, as it was in the level. Then I can make it so that the structure kind of ends off right here, and same as with the bottom. Let's just have some spikes here, and then a portal right there. Now I'm starting to get out of ideas for gameplay stuff, so I'ma just make some gameplay lines and check where they lead to. And after just recycling some already existing ideas, the gameplay for this part was done. Now I had to work on the first of 2 block designs, so let's begin on that right now. I think I'll begin by just adding in some simple outlines to this. Do the same thing that Windy Landscape did and have like sort of middle section right here and some stuff below that. For the insides of the blocks, I just used these 2.0 objects as they looked pretty cool. And then on layer 2, I can add some glow to this, like some slope glow using these objects. Yeah, that's a decent start to the design, but I obviously need to add some more to this. So what if I try to add like these details right here? Yeah, that could probably work. And then if I do some of this spike glow that I use for glowing up my spikes, that honestly works kinda well. I like that. I think you can guess what I'm adding. That's right, I'm adding my legendary black inner outlines. Look how much better that makes the design. Makes everything better. On layer 6, I'll just add in like the backing blocks, since I forgot to add them to this. I then worked on the inside of the block using some half opacity black objects and some black glow to soften it out. On the same layer as this like glow right here, I kind of want to add some chains into this, because there were some chains in the original part. Then let's make it so that it has a little bit more brightness, a little bit less saturation. I guess I can just like scale this down to maybe 0.6 and just like extend it a little bit more. Okay, I guess I gotta like expand this even more. I then added some pulsing objects with some blending glow on them, and with that the block design was pretty much done. I think I'll just apply this kind of like thing to all of these slope structures, and then let's see what I'll do after that. And while I'm filling in the block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. Let's see if we can get to 3,000 subscribers before September. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to remaking Windy Landscape. So I've filled in all of the block design for the slopes, and I think it looks pretty good. Now I gotta come up with a design for these main blocks, which might be a little bit more difficult, but let's try something. So something that I found out was actually pretty cool was, well, using the 1.0 objects. Basically these objects right here. The normal 1.0 objects was pretty hard to work with because I couldn't delete the outline, but the colored ones were pretty much impossible to distinguish from each other, so that took like 5 minutes to fix. So if I then make these like just color 1, but really dark, like maybe 0.20 brightness, and then I'll add some glow on top of this. On layer 3, I'll add, of course, the black inner outlines here as well. I want some more stuff for this, so I incorporated some of the blocks that was in the original parts themselves, like these X-step blocks and these hexagon force blocks, and I like them very much. So if I then maybe add white blending glow to the top, or like if I add some like object colored blending glow, how will that work? It looks good for the top, but not for the bottom. Yeah, that's better, yeah. Then I guess on the inside here, on the inside I can add some of these objects. And after adding even more glow and some more black inner outlines, I started on the 3D for the structure. That's like something that I always have to do here. I guess I can add this like middle piece as well. So this will just be like regular object colored, while this will be like darker object colored, like maybe 0.6, yeah. I then added some of my normal 3D details, which wasn't that interesting, so let's just skip that. Now I'll work on the spike design. And so I think I'll do something kind of generic with like some black inner outlines. Instead, I'll make this be like more in the middle and make it have some hue variation. I guess I can also do that for these smaller spikes, but just like kinda warp it down. So now I'll just fill this block design to the main structures in this part, and then I'll work on some more interesting stuff, hopefully. So let's do that. Okay, so I filled in the other block design, and as you can see, I also added some movement to this. Very cool. Now, this part is starting to come together, but it's also feeling very empty. So one thing to fix that is, well, to add some ground spikes to this. I wanted the ground spikes to feel very messy, and I think I encapsulated that feeling very well. And then I just want to like start copy and pasting this throughout the parts. It's interesting to say the least. I guess I can make it so that all of these ground spikes are B3 maybe. Now this can't just be like that, so that obviously means that I have to spam a lot of different details here. In the nature of a ground spike decoration, you don't have to worry about them being messy or spammy, and that's what makes them so fun to decorate. And then I can add some pretty slow saw blades here on B3 as well. Make them rotate like -30 degrees maybe. I needed to be a little bit more cautious while I was placing these saw blades, as I had to make sure that they didn't interfere with the main gameplay, as that would make it very annoying and inconsistent. And then I'll take all of these details and just copy them to the top. And now the ground spikes feel way more alive, I guess. So now I kind of want to work on like a sort of custom background. I'll go on layer 12 and use some of these classic objects, which are used a lot in many classic 1.9 levels. So I'll use them as well, because why not? They look pretty cool, and I can try to add some movement to them later on. I kinda took some inspiration from this custom background that I made a year ago, but I also used some of the traits that I had for my Supersonic part. Now, the problem is that it starts all the way over there, so I'll also have it so that in 0 seconds, it'll move like 100 blocks to the left. And then I'll take like an alpha trigger, which fades group 45 on. And after polishing the transition into the part, I would start by adding some random air deco like these pillars. So if I take all of these objects, give them, let's say, group 46, and make 46 just move down slowly. I'm doing a lot of copy and pasting with this, but it does look kinda good. I kind of want to make it so that like half of these move up and half of these move down. So now I'll do some pulsing to this, and I think I'll just do some very simple like background pulses to make it like flash brighter. Once you turn it to like normal wave, I'll make it so that the background shifts to a more red color as it was in the level. Yes, I really like this. I really like this. This is definitely my favorite part of the level so far. And it's 4,000 objects. I think it's the most object heavy part of the level. And now the final thing to do is, of course, add the names of the members of my channel to the level. So my first member, Dastinity, is on this structure right here. My second member, GhostXan, is on this structure right here. And my third member, RSD621, is on this portal right here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you especially much to the members. You guys are the best. And yeah, let's just get to the final showcase of the level. One final thing, I've uploaded a new poll on my community tab for you guys to vote what demon I should remake next. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. So you guys decided to torture me today, as the ultimate insane demon's next victim will be Crazy 3 by DavJT. So let's see what I made, how I made it, and if I lost my sanity. So we are back once again with the ultimate insane demon, and I haven't really done that much stuff off camera. I've just changed the brightness of this background. I think the part that I'm gonna remake is the first duel part. So we obviously have to begin with the gameplay, and the first thing that I want to do is place this pad here and link it to the same structure as this block. In the beginning, I wasn't fully understanding everything, but I managed to string myself together soon enough. That could work, but that obviously means that I should have the dual portal up here just to make it more consistent. Yeah, like a jump like this, where it has some spikes on the end here. What if I had a mini spike to both of these? Actually, will that even be possible? I guess the structure will overlap into here. So a very cool trick that I found out a long while ago is if you take a line, align it to the dash orb, make the dash orb group parent. That'll just make it so that the dash orb follows the exact line as the line. Another structure like this, where I guess you have to do like a timing with the bottom while the top just does its own thing. As I explained in the third Jam Gauntlet video, I'm not that good at making asymmetrical duels, but I actually managed to create something very cool. I guess if I extend this and move this up, same with this portal, then you can't jump into it from the bottom. So here, for the part in the song where it's like the repetitive beats, I'll do the dash orb stuff, and then have a dash orb at the top here. Maybe I'll have it so that this ends off a little bit earlier, so that you can't just hold from a dash orb to another. I can have like a blue orb here, where this platform goes a little bit higher. Then I can have like a black orb here, so that you jump right before the small one gets to the platform. I'll put some J blocks here just to be friendly, you know. Right as you jump here, the mini one hits a green orb, and maybe I can follow that with even more dash orbs. This part is 1 or 2 seconds shorter than the other parts in the level, but its gameplay was way harder to make, and the same with the decoration. But that will probably make it so that these two hit the dash orb at the same time. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't happen. And then I'll just finish this duel with 2 dash orbs. Actually, what if I just put it here and I make you big as you go here? And I guess right here you go unduel. I guess I'll add like a saw blade right here, and also like a saw blade here. I'll make it so that these objects are slabs, just to make it easier for you. But yeah, I think that's the entire gameplay for this part. I was expecting it to take a little bit longer, as it's an asymmetrical duel and I'm not that good with asymmetrical duels. Now I'll just structure this part and then I'll get onto a little big problem. So if I look through this part right here, you can most likely tell that this level is, well, glow style decoration, and that's fairly similar for the levels that I've remade so far, although Crazy 3 is more of an art level, but what I want to try to do is kind of combine the styles, doing both a glow style and a sort of art style as well. I began by adding some of my normal glow style details like a base and some outlines, but then I added some more unique stuff. I'll actually add a third layer of outlines right here. I guess I'll add some glow to this. I can make it so that these outlines right here are B1, so that this glow will be, so that this glow will go above those outlines. On layer 5, I guess I can try to incorporate. What if I try to add these objects right here, either like coming from the top or from the side? So if I align them like this, like directly to the grid, I'll warp these objects down a little bit, and yeah. I then added some more details to the outlines and some other stuff that I don't really feel like covering. Maybe some balloons, like the original parts. Yeah, just incrementally scale this up and down. And then I can add some like fading lines on the bottom here. That could be cool, but not in this block design. Maybe adding some like screws to this could work. Needs some more, so let me see what object I can use for that. Maybe if I make these like way darker but also more saturated. I don't want there to be 3 of these, so maybe just like 2 could work. I then made some boxes that I deleted later on. And then I added some more colorful details. Try to add some like glow beams here. I wanted to use a lot of red and green in this, as they're pretty circus feeling colors, and they were used a lot in the original level. I do like it, but I still feel that there are some stuff missing. What I'll do now, I'll work on the spike design for this, and for this one, I'll just make it so that the entire thing is just object colored. So this just makes it so that the spike has a very big outline. You can then maybe take these spikes, make them smaller, place the glow there as well. So just make it like the same color as this. Now we were onto the 3D, and for once I actually did something interesting with the 3D, which just copies the object color and then also make it a little bit darker. I'll just place this glow down and then align that to be, that feels better. Yeah, I like that better. I think I'll just take this block design, copy paste it to these other structures, and then let's hope that there's nothing that I want to revert, because that'll probably take a lot of time to revert later. And while I'm filling in this block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. These videos take very long to make, and any support would be highly appreciated. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me remaking Crazy 3. Okay, so I filled in all of the block design, and I've done some slight movements. So what I want to do now is on the next layer, I'll place down a gradient trigger right here, but I guess like half a brightness, so like this. So now it's just a plain background, and while I could just use like this trigger right here, I feel like this is a more smooth transition. I then began with the first layer of the custom background, where I did something pretty similar to a secret upcoming level of mine, and maybe you'll see that level in the future. So I think what I'll just do, I'll take these objects, I'll just warp them in the X direction to save objects. I'll then take one of these objects right here, flip them like this, and just make it as like the most accurate cross as possible. So then I'll align it here and then place it throughout the part. Yeah, like this. And that's pretty much the thing that was in the original level. I then changed the color of it, copy and pasted it throughout the part, and gave it some movement. I guess what I can do on layer 10 is add some backdrops to some of these structures. These objects right here on very low brightness. Then I'll also make them have some outlines that go on the outside. And I think I can just make these like normal object colored. Yeah, make these black and do the same on this side. And I guess add some glow to this. I guess also lower the saturation and up the brightness of it. I think the final thing I'll add to this is some arrows. So I think then I can just add these to the insides of here. I'll first extend this all the way to the top. All of these arrows right here. I then gave the arrows some movement and discovered something pretty interesting in the process. So I guess I'll just like place this in places where there's not that much space. Now I want to change this gradient to something else, as the gradient is just like the same color as these inside blocks. Yeah, that works. So it's more like a reddish color for the background. Yeah, that works way better. If I rotate this gradient trigger like this and make it so that the top is darker, that makes it even better. So yeah, I think after this, I'll add some more like atmospheric details. So yeah, let's see what those will be. So what I want to do now is pretty much just rip off the original level by adding some cobwebs into this. So I'll just have this sort of thing right here. I'll then take this outline right here, just extend this a little bit further out. It was a little bit annoying to make the cobwebs work correctly, but after trying a lot, I finally managed to make it work pretty well. So maybe if I like align this straight to the edges, how will that work? It's good enough. It's good enough. Then I'll take these objects right here, scale them down, copy them, and scale them down even more to this, yeah. I then copy and pasted them throughout the part, which wasn't really that interesting, so let's just skip that. Maybe on the same layer, I can actually bring the balloons into this. Said I was gonna use these in some way. So now I'll just change these to be like color 16, I guess. Now these are way too cartoony, and to fix that, I'll just add some glow on top of them. I then copy and pasted those as well. So I'll give the top 56, the bottom 57, and both of them 58. That can lock to the player with like a 0.8 modifier. Let's say that they will go up to here, both of them. 56 in the matter of 6 seconds. 56 will go down 5 blocks. I think on layer 13, I'll just take this glow right here, scale it up. So I need to make it so that this is above everything except for the structures. This adds as a sort of shadow to the blocks, which adds a lot of depth to the part, which I like a lot. Oh, and I also added even more glow to the part. I want to add a little bit more to the background since it feels very empty. Also, why is this cobweb moving? What I'll add now, I've done this in an upcoming level that I won't reveal yet. I'll just take some like blending glow, some like very, very big blending glow, and just scatter it throughout RTX in a way. It's very dumb. That's basically what it is. It's RTX for your level. After making this scattered glow move, I began with the saw blade design, which I had some pretty interesting ideas for. Now, there are no saw blades in the original part, so I gotta just come up with something on my own. So what if I just use these saw blades right here? I can make it so that the rotation is like -40 maybe. Just make them be the black ones. I did something very similar to these rotating objects from Arctic Peaks, which had a very creepy feeling in this environment. It's very dark. A 40 rotation? What? No, they won't. They just won't have a rotation. Then I'll add some glow on T2. I think I want to add some more like saturation to this. Yeah, like that. Then it was the pulses, which I also did something interesting to spice them up. So I made it so that some of these pulses just make the background kind of like flicker a little bit to add to the dingy feel of this. But yeah, with that, the entire crazy 3-part is finished. I was expecting this to go very horribly, but I actually managed to just go with the flow, and while it looks a little bit more simple compared to the other parts, I still think it looks very good. So for this transition into the drop right here, I think I'll just do that off camera. And the final thing to do now is, of course, the names of the members of my channel to the level. So my first member, Dastinity, is on this structure right here. My second member, GhostXan, is on this structure right here. And my third member, RSD621, is on this portal right here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and a special thanks to the members as always, you guys are the best. And yeah, let's just get to the final showcase of the level. One final thing, I've uploaded another poll on my community tab for you guys to vote what level I should do next. And yeah, that's about it. Goodbye. So you guys decided that the ultimate insane demon's next victim will be Crimson Clutter by Red Universe. This was incredibly fun to remake, and here is what I made and how I made it. So we are back with the ultimate insane demon. Today will be very interesting as Crimson Clutter is a very simple level, but I will try my best just to like see how this will go. The transition into this part was very harsh, but after figuring some stuff out, I began with the gameplay relatively quickly. So what I want to begin with is have like a little structure like this maybe. Let's put this a little bit closer like this, and also I guess expand it maybe. Let's put like a diamond shape right here. The gameplay and structuring in most 9 Circles levels are very similar, and Crimson Clutter isn't really anything different here, so most of this gameplay wasn't really that interesting either. And then right here, where I'll have that like infamous gap. I'm talking about the gap with the spikes that go like this. Yeah, I guess that could work. Then probably align these closer to the grid, and then at this like little part of the song I'll have like slow speed for a little bit. I overestimated the difficulty of this part a lot, so later on I went and buffed this to make it more similar to Insane Demon difficulty. Let's say I'll do what the original level did, and it's like, once you get down to here, it's like a normal structure, and then maybe there can be some spikes here, and maybe a saw blade down here. Let's say I'll do like another structure going like this. I guess another saw blade here. Maybe not that big, maybe like this saw blade. That's probably a little awkward, but I guess I can make these like fake slopes. The rest of this wasn't really that interesting, but now we'll get onto the decoration of the part. I didn't do the ship gameplay right now, as I think I'll do that after I've finished with all of the other details. So to begin with, I want to make it so that the background is like just a very slight color, but you can barely see it at all. And then the object color can be like a blinding red color, like this, yeah. I split the design into 4 different parts, with each getting more and more orange. I really like this detail, and it saves the part from being too monochromatic. Now, this doesn't really look that good, but I think I know how to fix that. And that will be the legendary black inner outlines. Let's go. I think I can make it so that these are like a little bit darker, like 0.60 brightness. And then on layer 4, I'll add some slope glow. Yeah, I don't want to just like copy paste it downwards. That's like very boring. I can make it so that if every single layer gets more and more orange. Yeah, plus 10 hue for each like downwards thing. I did a lot of copy and paste while making this design, so I'll just go over the details that were fully original for each of the segments. So I can take these objects, pair them up with these objects, and just copy paste these throughout the part. What if I try to use like some ground spikes to cover these up? Yeah, like that maybe. I can like shift these down by 1 to make them cover even more. I want to use like more unique details for this, so I can add some pretty thin but also some pretty noticeable black glow. Yeah, just to section most of this off. On the 3rd layer, I did something pretty similar to Arctic Lights, using the same types of objects, but I did add some extra details because it felt a little bit less decorated than everything else. I can try to use these objects to kind of mask it off. That's very similar to this top right here, so I gotta do something different from that. What if I try to use like these objects, but in like reverse? Yeah, I guess that could work. And then on layer 12, I'll just continue with the glow. Layer 13 will be the final layer, and maybe I can just make that like black. To give that like plus 30 hue, yeah, we're up to that now. And just make the inside entirely black. I can add some very, very strong glow here. And then I guess I can add some black inner outlines here. I then began with the pulses for the design, where I encountered a problem, but I managed to fix it in a very unique way. Since I can't really like pulse these to different colors, I'm gonna do like an opposite pulse. Yeah, so it fades on like this, and while it sounds confusing, I'll make it work later on. So I think I can just like copy and paste this throughout. Maybe I can have it so that it holds for a little bit. Or if I make it so that they're more close to each other. Yeah, like that, that's better. Now I think it's just the time for me to apply this block design to the rest of the structures in this part. So let's just do that. And while I'm filling in the block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. I spend a lot of time on these videos, and any support would be highly appreciated. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me remaking Crimson Clutter. Okay, so I've finished filling in all of the block design for the first part, and I'm really proud of how I did this. So what I want to do now on layer 17, yeah, this block design used a lot, and I mean a lot of layers, but I want to add some like overlay glow to this. Glow overlay acts as lighting in this setting, and it spices up the part a lot, and that's why I use it as much as I do. It kind of gives it like a more volcanic feeling for some reason. Yeah, that really puts it like crimson in Crimson Clutter. I'm not really used to using this many layers, but I'm finally doing this ground spike design again. Like I did this many times, but this time I'm actually gonna explain how I do it. Maybe I can scale this up to 2 times. I can make it so that this outline has less saturation and more hue. And then maybe I can add some like T3 glow behind this. I'll just scale these back to normal. I have no idea. Yeah. I then added some movement to the ground spikes to make the part feel way more intense. I then began with the background where I did something similar to the hallucination. Let's say these objects right here, just like stagger them like this, so I can make these black, the first layer. Copy this up and to the right. Then I want to scale this up a lot to like 2 times. And I guess put some squares inside of here. I can try to add some glow to this. B2 blending glow. Then I'll just take this and I guess just flip this throughout all of this. This background took a lot of adjustments, and while most of it was just layering, it was still very frustrating and not that fun to do. I don't really remember where I saw this. I want to do something similar to what I did in the 9 circles level, in the like memory ball parts, where I had these like sections with memory in them. If you've already watched that video, you know exactly how I made this, so I'll just go over the details that were actually original for this level. I guess I can scale up a little bit more. And then I'm gonna make it so that this kind of like backdrop is half opacity again. And maybe I can add some like arrows inside of here. So let's say I'll take these arrows, make it so that the first layer is black, but then copy this up and give this like the orange blending color, and then copy it down. We'll make this have even more hue. Yeah, so it's like a neon design. Now I gotta see, does this interfere with the background? I mean, I guess it kinda does, but is it really a big deal? Like, is it really worth it to change it when I'm this far into making it? I guess I can add some like outlines to distinguish it from itself. What if I'm gonna like move it a little bit further out? I also gotta make it so that this is no touch, so you can't like interact with this. It feels a little bit stiff, so I'ma just give it the movement that I gave it in the original parts, which is just taking these objects right here. So I feel like what I'm gonna do now is work on saw blade design. Rare time that I do saw blade design before spike design, but I'm gonna do it. There wasn't really that much interesting going on with the saw blades, but I'll still cover them just to show what I did. What brightness does this actually have? 0.60. Then I just wanna do the same thing for these. Let's just split all of this apart. Except I'm giving this some hue variation. I feel like this should have 0.20 plus 20 hue. Then I'm gonna take a third layer of saw blades. Let's give this, I don't know, plus 30 hue. Then I'm gonna just assemble all of this. Take this circle, scale it down, and also give it the appropriate hue. Now, I'm gonna add glow to this. I had some interesting ideas for this glow, but they didn't really work that well, so I just caved in and did something generic. Then I'm gonna make it so that these saw blades have group 70... Wait, what groups are there? The rest of this was just adding the pulses to the saws and the saws to the part, so let's do a little cool transition into the spike design. And then the final thing to do is, of course, the spike design. I'm pretty much just gonna do the same exact thing as the saw blade design, but I kind of want to make it so that it's a little bit more special. So let's add the black inner outlines to this. Then let's add the classic glow. I'm just doing like full on my generic thing. Give all of this group 70. I'm just gonna copy paste this. And also give this like some hue. Scale all of this down to like 0.7. Copy paste this another time. And give this even more hue. So that's a very, very generic spike. I do like it. So that now I'm just gonna copy paste this throughout the parts. Now it might look that the video is gonna continue a lot more, but most of this stuff is pretty much just gonna be the same as this wave part. Not the gameplay, however, so I will do that. Here I remade the gameplay for this ship part right here, which I think I nailed pretty well, but the physics made it so that I had to change some stuff in the future. Right here I'll do some like kinda straight fly. It's not really gonna be that bad. I guess maybe instead of that I can just like copy this fake, yeah. Now I think I gotta make it so that this is like the normal size that it was. So just have like another yellow orb right here go into a yellow portal that shoots you into some slopes like this, maybe. Maybe I can have it so that the slope is here, so you click the yellow orb, but you don't click as you hit the portal. Kind of want to have it so that this doesn't shoot you as far down. Or I guess have a yellow orb here onto like the little break part. The rest of this was just structuring the part and adding the saw blades into the part, so let's skip to the next thing. So yeah, that's the structuring for the entire ship part, and the final thing to do now is just to add some like pulses to the foreground and background. The edit color trigger is surprisingly good for pulses, and I used that here to give even more intensity to the part. So this makes like an orange color, so let's say this happens immediately, but then a matter of 0.3 seconds, it turns back into normal. Yes, I like that a lot. So the final thing to do now is of course the names of the members of my channel to the parts. Thank you so much to my members Dastinity, GhostXan, RST621, Qafo, Zosia Lewko, and Felmix9. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and a special thanks to my members, you guys are the best, and let's get to the final showcase of the level. One final thing, I've uploaded another poll for you guys to decide what demon I should remake next, and that's about it, so see ya. So you guys decided that the ultimate insane demon's next victim will be Dark Travel by Jonathan GD. Today, I'll be remaking the iconic duel part and a little bit more, so let's see what I made and how I made it. Now, unfortunately, for the entire process where I made the gameplay, I forgot to turn on my microphone, so I'll just explain what I did in post-commentary. So I think all of you guys know that the duel in Dark Travel is a symmetrical duel, but I didn't really want to do that here as I wanted to do some more creative stuff. I began with a buffer click to start everything off, and it was a little bit annoying to set up, but I do like how it turned out. I then added some dash orbs synced to the song and some gameplay that is pretty much the same as in the original part. I then began with the wave part, which took a while to set up as I spent around 10 minutes trying to get the transition to work, and the gameplay for it was pretty simple as well. The transition out of the part was also very hard to make work well, and I had to use a lot of invisible objects to make the transition consistent. After some more cube gameplay, which is basically just orbs that you have to buffer, I began with the spider part, where I made it so that you actually had to jump into the spider portal, and I really like how that turned out. For the gameplay itself, I made some gameplay similar to the original spider, but did some more original stuff like these orbs and portals, and whatever this structure is. And for the transition out, I did something similar to Dark Odyssey's transition out of the duel. I really like how that turned out as well, and I'm pretty proud of this gameplay. And so now that you know how the gameplay went, let's see how the decoration went. Okay, so I've done like a lot of tweaking with this gameplay, and it's 2 days later, so yeah, there's been a lot of changing going on. Now I also added a coin to this, which might seem like it doesn't make that much sense, but actually makes some sense. So, but now we begin with the decoration for this part, and I want to do something similar to what I did in the Crazy 3 part, where I kind of combined the styles with glow, which I think will look pretty nice here. So we obviously gotta begin with changing the object color to black, as that was what it was in the original part. And the background, I don't really know what I'm gonna do there. I'm gonna think of that later. Now, since the main object color is, of course, the black color, I sadly can't do any black inner outlines to the design. So, like, something that was used a lot was, like, a sort of improved version of these blocks right here. And I don't really know how I'm gonna do that, like, myself, but I can try to do something. What I want to do first, though, is kind of like do a sort of crystal thing with this. Now, this looks like a goddamn mess, and it's not even visible at the moment. And yeah, that doesn't really look that good. I kind of underestimated how hard it would be to remake the block design for this part, and so I probably shouldn't have hyped it up in the pulse as much as I did. Yeah, I'm not really that sure what I'm gonna do. Maybe I can try to add like another layer of glow. What if I make the base and this be B3? Yes, it's below the glow like that. Snip away this bottom, as you don't really see that. I can try to add like these objects right here to the top. You know what, that does feel better, you know. Or I'll just remove this temporarily, and what I'll instead do on layer 5 is kinda do what I did in Crazy 3, where I'll just take some like massive glow, copy this all throughout the part. When it comes to this type of glow overlay, I don't use it a lot in glow style, but when I try out different styles like art, they tend to work pretty well. I'll just make it so that the glow have the blending color, but it has some like different hue. If I then just copy and paste this all throughout, I'm betting that it will look atrocious right now. It doesn't look the worst, but that's probably because it's not on the right layer I want it to be. Yeah, that's atrocious. I'm gonna just be kind of lazy, and I'm gonna make this be like a new color, which is just blending, but with like a lower opacity. What if I try to do a thing with the background where it's like, it'll be that the background is just like this color, then it'll just copy itself, but with like 180 hue. The pulse effect that I wanted for the background took a while to set up, and it was a very dodgy setup, but it did look pretty cool, and it had like a little bit of variation to other rainbow effects. I don't really like how this glow flickers, so let's see if I can manage to make this work. I don't really get what I'm doing with this, but hey, it works. What if I do like the opposite of what I like tend to do and use like some white inner outlines? I mean, what if I make the white blending, like also like a little bit less brightness? That kind of works actually. What if like on layer 7, I'll do like some outline glow to this? Yeah, it'll be like the blending color, but then like the saturation will be way lower and the brightness will be lower. After this, I spent like 5 minutes trying to use the particle editor to try to make something cool. Although, like a lot of other stuff in this didn't really work that well, and so I did something way simpler instead. But this is like way too simple, and I don't really know what to add. Let's say I'll take like these objects, copy them just like a lot, copy it even more, let's say this much. If this be the blending color, and the more I copy paste it out, the like darker it becomes. Yeah, I guess it works. On layer 9, I can try to add some like 3D to this. So let's say I'm gonna just make the 3D line be black, like this. This is definitely the simplest 3D I've ever done in Geometry Dash, by the way. Layer 11, I want to add some glow to this. Some white blending glow. And then on layer 12, I'll add like some black spikes to the edge of this. Like, it doesn't feel that much like the original part. I'm gonna try to like design this one more time. And this time, I'm gonna just make this be like a bit darker. While I was remaking these details, I kind of realized how ahead of his time Jonathan was, as these details were surprisingly difficult to make. I'm gonna put this here, copy this, scale it on the Y, move that below and make this like, maybe not the blending color, but like, let's say it's color 1 with like way less saturation and a bit more brightness. And then finally some glow to it. I feel like the glow is a bit too big and this should probably have like more saturation. So what if I like invert the pattern where like the inside will copy the stuff on the outside and then the outside will copy the stuff on the inside. Guess I kind of want to like change the pattern of like this thing right here. So let's say it'll just be like this line should be way shorter to this size maybe. I mean, I guess that could work. It doesn't really look the best. I'm gonna try one final attempt to add like some texture to this. So let's say I'll delete this base and use like these objects instead. Copy that, make like a line with it. Give that, let's say, plus 20 hue. Copy that again, give that like plus 40 hue. I'm gonna scale the pattern up to like, let's say 1.5 times. Yeah, I feel like that makes it feel way more like Dark Travel. So I think I've finally made a block design that works. And I think you guys know what I gotta do now. Gotta obviously copy and paste this to the rest of the part, which will be, well, pretty interesting, so let's just do that. And while I'm filling in the block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. I spend a lot of time on these videos and any support would be highly appreciated. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me remaking Dark Travel. Okay, so I've filled in most of the block design. There is like an asterisk with like these floating structures, which I'll do something different for. But yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of how this is turning out. Like, there is obviously a lot more that I have to do here. And also this whole ending part. But yeah, this is actually turning out pretty good. So what I want to work on now is the spike design. And so let's say I'll scale this down a little bit. The inside can have like plus 20 hue. And just do the same thing until I'm at a point where I feel like happy. It's a bit strange, I can say that at least, but to fix that, I'm gonna add like some glow to this. I kind of want to like have it so that the pulsing is a bit different. So let's say this will still be normal, but this will be like negative 20 hue. The thing kind of shrinks in instead of scale up, which I feel is a little bit better. Then I want to take this glow and just like scale that and give it the appropriate hue to fit with the smaller spikes. Yeah, like that. And I kind of want to have it so that the spikes do have an outline. So like the black is barely noticeable, but it is there. Then I want to take some like glow to the inside, which I guess can just be like blending, but with like negative 80 hue. I mean, I kind of like that. It's pretty alright. Looking back at this, I might have made this part a bit too vibrant, but I think that makes it feel more alive. Yo, 40,000 objects, let's go. There we go, that's the spikes. I feel like the spikes just add like way more detail to all of this. Now I want to work on a sort of foreground thing, so I'll go to layer 13 and then I'll add some like black glow in the foreground. Looks kind of weird with the ground off. There was a problem with the foreground, as at some points you could see through the ground, so I had to fix that, and luckily that didn't take that long. Now this does feel a little bit too empty, and so what I want to do is I kind of just want to add some like slopes on T2, but these will be like blending. So if I just scale these up and just copy that all throughout, will that look good or will it not look good? Yeah, I like that. What I wanna do now is work on the background, which will be layer 14. And I have something pretty interesting to do for that. So I originally wanted to do something like this part in Dark Odyssey, and I tried many different variations of it, but eventually I just figured out that it wouldn't really work that well, so I did something simpler instead. And yes, I wasted about half an hour trying to make this work. What if like instead of using glow, I just use like some normal objects? That will be like just color 1, copy paste it 1 layer above, scale it to let's say 4.5 times, and make that have like some hue to it. And then do the same thing until I'm at like a point where I like it. I guess that could work. And then let's say I'ma just take some like massive glow in the center of this. Insanely big, like 4 times. I then made the background move, which took a little bit longer than it should have, but it did work in the end. And what if I like just take this object, turn on preview mode please, and just make like a spiral out of this where each of the layers have like more and more hue. So this will be normal hue, this will be like a 90 hue, this will be 180 hue, and this will be negative 90 hue. And then just make it so that they will have like, the further in they go, the faster rotation they'll have. I mean, that's like slightly better. It's not really that good. I then copy and pasted the background to fill up some more empty space and began with a pretty cool effect. I don't know how many objects this will be, but I want to add like just like a massive screen of objects, and this might not make it that much sense to you, but it will make sense to me. Give this group 86, and then group 86 will have an area tint trigger. I'll make it be around the player with like a pretty high length, and I'll make it just be like tint, let's say color 6 blending white. It feels a little bit big, so let's say I'm gonna just take all of these squares and then just individually scale them down to let's say to like 0.9 something. What if I try to do some more like experimentation, like let's say it's in reverse? I don't really like that though. I'm gonna come back to it if like I don't like it, but for now I guess it's staying as this. What I want to do now is I kind of want to add some like saw blades to this. I guess I can just do like a normal saw blade design. So let's place this down, maybe have it so that the inside is like a grayish color. Yeah, like that. I then discovered something that looked super cool. Yeah, I don't really know what like colorful details I can do for this. Okay, I want to try to find a way to like rotate it so that there's like 7 objects here. I guess that could work, and then I'm gonna just give this like the appropriate hue that it should have. Something like that, yeah. Oh, wow. Whoa. Dude, that looks sick. Let's make it so that this has like a very slow rotation, let's say negative 30. What if I make it so that the glow is like a little bit smaller? What if I like take this saw blade, copy it, rotate it, and then make it so that this outside have like the blending colors? And then I can put some like black glow behind it. I then placed the saw blades throughout the part, and while I kinda regret not giving them some more variation, they still look very good and are probably my favorite saw blade design that I've ever made. I really like how the part is turning out so far, but I still feel like it's kinda empty. I probably should add some like jump indicators here, just because it might be pretty hard to tell where you're actually supposed to go. I'll put like a triangle here, which can be like half opacity black. Copy it above, give this like, let's say color 1, add some like bright glow to this. Yeah, I like that. So now I'm gonna just place this pretty much where you have to jump. It didn't take that long to place the jump indicators, but I also added some movement to them and polished the transition both in and out of the part. I then added a glow beam, and while it felt pretty pointless, it did sync with the song, and I like it. For these, I just want to do something like kinda different, so let's say I'll give these like a thicker black outline. Then the base will just be like, just copying the background, saturation way lower, and maybe give it like half opacity. I pretty much just want to like copy some of this glow that has already been done before. I then added some ground spikes to the bottom and to the top and gave them a low opacity. And then the final detail that I want to have here is kind of like these objects. So make the base black blending and make the detail just like copying the background color, yeah. And so then I'll just like paste these throughout here. Maybe I'll do the like black inner outline, but I'll do that on like layer 6, and then I'll do the normal outlines, which can be maybe white. I don't want to do some like 3D for this. I kind of just want to do the same thing as in the 9 circles level, where it'll just have some like shadow to it. Yeah, that's decent. Maybe I can just take these objects on the inside. Yeah, that's good, I like it. Now, even though there's not really any orb deco in the original, I want to do some orb deco here. So I'm gonna just put these on like a black color, scale them up a bit, and I think that's it. And then I'm gonna scale them back to like normal size for just the orbs, but like make them bigger for the orbs in the portals. And then I spent a little bit polishing the transition into the next part, kinda. What I gotta do now is of course like this part right here, which I think will probably be pretty rushed, but anyways. I first made the object color white and added some invisible blocks to the structures for some reason. And then I'll add like just a singular brick inside here. Then I want to take some like white glow to put that on the top on these structures. And I guess the bottom of those structures as well. Now I want to add some like chains to the bottom here. So I'll quarter space that like this. Make it be a little bit thinner. Then on layer 1, I want to add some clouds to the background. Where I can try to use these clouds, but give them like a blending color so that the outline disappears. Give them some like plus hue and like a bit less brightness. I then spammed the clouds a lot, gave them some movement so that they would shoot up into the sky, and also gave them some parallax. Then I just want to take some like big saw blades, give them like a 20-degree rotation, scale them to like this much, and just make them black. This is just like a filler part, so should you really care that much? Take like just like a dot here, scale that up like a lot, like this much. Now I want to take some like white glow from the top, scale that up to like 4 times, yeah. Let's see how good this is in action. This is very underdecorated, however, and I don't really know how to fix that problem. For some reason, I decided to just take a custom background that I'd already made before, but I actually made it work pretty well in this setting, even though it was just copy and paste. What if, like, let's say layer 2, I'll use these objects right here. I'll make this like the blending one. There we go. So yeah, I'll take these objects, shift them one back, one layer below, or I guess an entire layer below, and make that like black. Ooh, yeah, I like it. I'll probably lower the opacity of this, and then I'ma just like put these rising up from the ground, maybe? What if I remove these objects and just make the like pillars way thinner? And after making these pillars move, the part was actually finished. So yeah, I think with that, this entire part is also done. Today we remade Dark Travel, the dual part, and the transition into the next part. I'm really proud of this part. Just as like a standalone part of itself. And I feel like this part is a bit rushed, not the biggest fan of that. The only thing that I have to do now is just some transition stuff, which isn't really that good. But let's add the names of the members of the channel to the part. Thank you so much to my members: Dastinity, GhostXan, RSD621, Qafo, Zosia, Lewko, Filmix9, Wowzy, and HFizx. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and a special thanks to the members. You guys are the best. And yeah, let's get to the final showcase of the level. One final thing, I've uploaded a new poll on my channel for you guys to decide what level I should do next, and yep, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye. So you guys have decided that the ultimate insane demon's next victim will be my personal favorite insane demon, Firewall by Heinz. So let's see what I made and how I made it. So we are back with the ultimate insane demon for the 7th time now. Now, I haven't done that many changes off camera. The main changes that I've done is to the Supersonic part. Yeah, this like second half of the Supersonic part has gone pretty huge overhaul, as I wasn't really that happy with the first version. A very good thing that I've done as well is that I've done a lot of optimization to this. The level went from being like 45,000 objects to just 34,000. But yeah, I've placed a teleport portal, or have I? I haven't, in fact. I thought I placed a teleport portal here. Well, I'm gonna place a teleport portal right here. Same as when I remade Crimson Clutter, I had to tweak the transition into this part, as it's a very sudden transition, but luckily I managed to make it work pretty well. So it'll be some like very simple wave gameplay, but I'll also try to make it a little bit synced to the song. I need to figure out a good playtest line, like a pretty good playtest line. I'll just make this structure right here, as I feel like that's pretty good to start off with. For the gameplay, I did something kind of similar to flow gameplay, where I used a lot of different portals and game modes, and while it might be a little bit clunky and the transitions aren't really the greatest, I still like how it turned out in the end. So for what I'll do first, I'll make it so it'll be mini wave for a little bit longer, have it so that it's one very long click. And then right here, I think is a good place for you to turn into a ball. You can also go into like upside down and normal size. Have it so that there's like a pretty long platform right here that'll extend all the way to the top. I want to do something that's both pretty satisfying and also pretty consistent. I want to put like a slope here, maybe like this, just to make the transition better. Yeah. I feel like that's probably a little bit too high CPS, so maybe I'll just put a pad here instead. Actually, I'll make it so that you start off as a mini, and then as the part goes, you turn into big. The ship gameplay wasn't really that interesting, as it was just weaving through some saw blades, but it's very reminiscent to Firewall, so that's the good thing about it. And that's pretty much what I also felt with some of the other gameplay in this part. So I'll have it so that the normal size portal is right here, so you have to jump before you hit it. Let's also make it so you turn into slower speed. Then I'll have a platform that's a little bit higher up. And just for every single jump that you do, you get slower and slower. So maybe I can have like a triple spike here. But I got to make it like half spaced, unfortunately. Actually, maybe I can make it so that like, have it so that when you jump here, gets slower and slower. So I can have like a triple spike right here that's a little bit elongated. And I ended the part with some nice and simple straight fly, which is a little bit nerfed. And now that we're finished with the gameplay, let's begin with the decoration. So I'll begin by setting the colors, obviously. Let's make the background begin as like a pretty dark, desaturated pink-ish color, and darker, obviously. Then I obviously need to make the object color white again. For the decoration, I'll just begin by adding some outlines. And then here, I'll add like the metallic 1.6 blocks. Now I want to have them be a little bit different, so I can begin with the base, which can be on like layer 2. So let's say I'll begin by doing something similar to what I would do if I was making a 9 circles type thing. Then on layer 3, I'll add some like slope glow to this. Like that, yeah. Does look a little bit strange, and to fix that, I'm gonna go on layer 4 and add black inner outlines. Like that, yeah. On layer 5, I'll begin with the like secondary base, which will also have some more saturation. Maybe have like -20 hue. Nah, I don't like it. I guess I can just like extend this base to be used for the normal objects. For some reason, this was the part that I struggled the most on for the block design, which is strange as Firewall is the closest out of any other level I've remade to the style that I make the levels in. I don't really know what to add on the inside then. Maybe I'll just like add a pretty huge structure, then have it so that I'll use the metallic objects, but maybe they can just be like object colored this time. Have it so that I'll give them some glow on the side and some glow on the top. I'm not the hugest fan of the like pinkish color to this, so maybe I'll make it a more cherry color. I'll try to add some black inner outlines to this, and hopefully that'll be better. I then made the block feel more crystallized by using the same trick as I did in episode 4 of the 9 circles level. I'll just use like these objects, like the crystallized objects, and then put them like this. Maybe make them blending, but B1. Now I kind of want to extend this structure to be a little bit taller. This maybe, and then use these edges as well. What if I use like these objects, have the base be like half opacity black and the detail be background blending, and just these on the metallic objects? I mean, this could maybe work. What if I make the object color copy the background color, but we like way less saturation and way more brightness? After adding some more pretty nonchalant details, I began with 3D for the block, which I which I surprisingly managed to do pretty well. But I've had some like 3D to this, so I can use like these objects for the 3D, color one with half opacity, and also the hue. Then on layer 8, I can add some slope glow, but maybe I can get away with using the like normal slope glow now. Then on layer 9, I can add like an outline to the 3D. If I rotate this, how will that work? Like, it's probably the dodgiest thing ever, but then if I shift this down and then I can make that black. I guess I don't need like these right here to be half opacity, and then I can put some like half spikes just sticking out of the side like this. Maybe it's an alright design. It's very simple, but I think with like some more complicated stuff that I'll add later on, it won't be that big of a deal. So yeah, I think I'll just go and put this on all of the slope structures. And while I'm filling in the block design, I'll just humbly ask you to please subscribe. We're only 100 subs away from 3,000 subscribers, so I think we can hit it before November. But let's get back to me remaking Firewall. So that didn't really take that long, as there's like 4 structures here. This looks decent, I guess. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. I guess I can begin with a sort of foreground for the part. I want this part to have a lot of intensity, so yeah. Let's say I'll do something similar to the Crimson Clutter part, where I'll use like these ground spikes. I don't think it should be hued that much, though. Yeah, maybe something like this. Give it some glow behind it. I might have made the foreground look a little bit too much like ground spikes, so if you die to that from 0, then I'm sorry. And then just give this group 15. When I was redesigning this part right here, there was a lot of groups that I deleted, so that's why there's so many new, very like low new groups. Now I don't want to make this be ground spikes, so I'll remove the collision on these and then also extend these to pretty much the end of the parts. Okay, what I want to do, I want to link the bottom row together and I want to link the top together. And what I want to do, I want to like move these at the same speed as like the boundaries for the parts. As you go into this ball part, it'll kind of move down like 3 blocks pretty fast. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm hoping that does. I try to make it as accurate as possible. I gotta move this up a little bit. Something else that I want to add is like in between all of this, let's say on like pretty high T1, I want to have some of these saw blades. They'll be stagnant and then a bounce out movement. I wanted to do something similar to these saw blades in Glorious Fortress, as I feel like they added a lot of intensity to the part. I'll probably add some sparkles to them later on, but for now they're just staying as this. So something like this, and then I'll add some glow to it as well. I gotta kind of like strategically find where I should like place these. How does this work? What if I make these like T3 instead? Yeah, that's way better. The foreground was clashing with the saw blades a little bit, which was pretty annoying, but luckily I fixed that problem. Now I want there to be some more intensity to this, so maybe I can add like an overlay above all of this. You can call what I'm adding now some RTX to the part, and I feel like that's a good depiction of what this actually is. I added both a blending screen and a lot of blending glow, and I made them pulse on and off just to make the part feel even more intense. This is probably a little bit too much copy and paste though. Actually, it's not really that bad. So now I need to see how much do I have to move this. I think that's good. What if I make it so that the overlay pulses? Having it so the group 100 and I think it was 119. Make that just have like a pulse. Yeah, then maybe 118 can also pulse. I think that works, yeah. Yeah, that's good, that's good. I really like that. Nice. I kind of want to add like a lot of color changes to this. So I'll make it so that this gradient is like touch triggered. Also put this at the beginning of the parts, like this, yeah. For the color changes, I went through a lot of different colors, and I really like that, as the original level also did that. Let's see, how does the part flow with these color changes? Yeah, that's good, I like that. Now I kind of want to add like a sort of custom background. I think something like this could work. Like maybe this thing could work, or maybe not. Even though I have this as a custom object, I've never used it before, and I've only had it as a sort of backup background in case I don't have any ideas for anything else. And then on layer 15, I want to add like a sort of middle thing. So let's say I'll use these objects. How would those work? If I make all of this like object colored, I guess, or let's say all of this color 1. Make the outline have less saturation, more brightness. And then I guess I can use these crystallized objects again. Give them like plus 100 hue, like this much maybe. And then what if I copy these and then scale them down on top of themselves? Yeah, that maybe. What if I rotate it like 45 degrees? What if I add these objects to the side of the design? Copy this, half space that, and put it on the other side as well. Okay, we are getting somewhere with this. What if I add some like glow lasers to this? Give it just like the blending color, but also like shrink it down. And then, will it be better if I put it on both sides or just on one side? I think both sides could work here, yeah. I then copied and pasted the pillars and gave them some slight upwards movement, and I'm actually a pretty huge fan of these pillars, even though they are pretty unoptimized. Maybe I can add some like rotating objects behind the structures. The final things that I'll do now is come up with a block design for like these other things, these other structures, and then a spike design, and maybe that's it. For this block design, I'll begin by, of course, adding the outlines, like this. I can try to just like make a design that's pretty much the design for the slopes, but for the normal objects. So let's see if that will work. In all honesty, that actually looks pretty cool, yeah? So I think I'll just apply that to pretty much the rest of these structures. I'll add some more structures here as well. After adding some more structures, I began with a spike design where I did a lot of interesting stuff. Now what I'll do is work on the spike design, and what I want to do is, I don't want to just like take the spike design from the windy landscape part. I'll just like use it as a reference and do something similar to it. It looks fine all by itself, but I feel like I want something more to it. What if I had 3D to it? Okay, I was hoping that it would work, but I guess it didn't. Well, what I can do instead is just like behind it put like a fake spike, like that here. What if I put like a spike at the bottom here, like this, that's just entirely black? And then scale it down so it's like here. Ooh, that's interesting. Gives like a sort of frailed look to the spikes. But after looking at the object count, I decided against that. The frails make the design feel a bit too complicated and a bit too messy. So maybe I'll just do this instead. And then I just copy and paste the spikes throughout the part, which isn't really that interesting to watch. And then I began with the saw blade design, which took so little time that I'll just let it play out all by itself. Let's say I'll begin by doing a normal saw blade. Actually, maybe it can be this saw blade. Copy it, rotate that, scale it down, and make it so that the outer one has blending colors. And then even below that, I'll place this saw blade. Make that also have a blending inside, but make that be like way darker and have some hue to it. And then just give it some black inner outlines. Then I can add some black glow to section this off. Use like these objects as I did in the 9 circles level, but make that have like way lower brightness. And after copy and pasting the saw blades, I began with the final addition to the part. Pretty much what I gotta do now is just fill in this block design to all of the structures that are left in this part. And once that's done, we are finished with the part. So yeah, let's just skip to that. Alright, so the block design is filled in and the part is actually very close to done. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And the final thing to do now is of course add the names of the members of my channel to the part. Thank you so much to my members Dastinity, GhostXan, RSD621, Qafo, Zosia Lewko, Felmix9, Wowzy, HFizks, and Malachad. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let's just get to the final showcase of the level. And one final thing, I've uploaded another poll for you guys to vote on what level I should do next. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. So you guys have decided that the next victim for the Ultimate Insane Demon will be Arcane Ascent by Alkali and more. Today, I will be remaking this part right here, as I feel like that's the one that has the most lacking decoration. But let's see what I made and how I made it. Now, the creating process of this was pretty similar to when I remade Firewall, as there was a lot of flow gameplay used in this, and the gameplay itself was also pretty similar. I began with some ball gameplay, which is very similar to the original gameplay, except a little bit more enhanced. I then made some wave gameplay, where I decided that it would be better to make you a big wave, as I don't really feel like decorating even more mini wave slope structures. Then it was some cube gameplay that was almost identical to the original part. However, I actually made the transition feel consistent in this version. Then it was just some average woeful GD ship gameplay. I'm not the hugest fan of this gameplay, and I feel the relatively same thing about the decoration. But speaking of the decoration, let's get to it now. I began by decorating this structure right here, and as always, I began with some relatively simple outlines. After adding some more relatively normal details, I added some connector objects, and I also combined them with these rotating objects, but I turned off the rotation just to make them look better. I then added some metallic objects because I thought they looked cool, but they looked very bad and just made the design look very messy, so I deleted those later on. And speaking of messy, this is definitely the most messy part of the level, but that's mostly due to the color usage and the style of the original part. I then added a sort of glowy highlight to the middle, because I wanted to add some more detail to the design, but also not make it too repetitive. I don't know exactly what to call this thing that I'm making, but it wasn't the original structure, so I'm doing that as well here. I then added some lightning objects, which made the design feel more alive, and I really like the originality of it. I then added the 3D, which had some difference to it than my other 3D, but it was mostly just the same. I added some more pretty nonchalant details to the design, and this is the final version of it. I'm kinda happy with it, and now it's time to paste it throughout the part. And as always, while I'm filling in the block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. Let's see if we can hit 4K before December, as that would be pretty cool. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me remaking Arcane Ascent. Next thing that I decided to make was the custom background, where I decided to use these kinda 2015 type objects, and created some pretty interesting patterns with it. I then added some drop shadow, pulsing objects, and made the design cover more of the screen just to make it feel more unique. It's an alright custom background, but it's definitely way more unique to some of my other custom backgrounds, which I think is pretty good. For the ground spikes, I began by combining two different types of ground spikes, and I aligned them in a way so that it would look pretty natural. I then added some more colorful details to the ground spikes because I didn't want it to be just black and white, and then I copy and pasted it throughout the part. Up next was the saw blade design, which is very normal to my other saw blades, but I did add some club objects to it, so it would look a little bit more interesting. I'm not that big of a fan of this saw blade, and I could definitely improve it if I wanted to, but I guess it's just staying as this. I'm a little bit more proud of this spike design, but it's also very generic and very similar to my other spike designs, so there's not too much that I can say about this. I do like how I managed to combine the colors together, and I also like that while the colors might seem separate, there are some parts of the more saturated colors that are in the less saturated parts, and some less saturated colors that are in the more saturated parts. I did give the smaller spikes some more hue to it so it wouldn't look too copy and pasted, even though it is very copy and pasted. I then made it so that the grey color would have a little bit of a reddish tint to it, and I like that. Then I added some arrows, and they do the job, I guess. They're pretty lazily made and remind me of something that you could see in like a pretty generic 2.0 level, and yeah, it's not that good. For making the block design for these slopes, I used a sort of creation process that I use for making 9 circles block design, with a main layer to the design and an underlayer below. And I obviously had to use the Arctic Lights blocks, as they look amazing as always. I put a huge emphasis on blending for the design, as pretty much all of the colors for this are blending colors. It's very unique and different to what I normally do with my block design, like for example the outlines here are pretty much the same color as the insides. And for the underlayer, I used the same design as the weird connector thing from the normal block design. And for the second saw blade design, I did a more cartoony thing with it, but I still did the same process as I used for my normal saw blades. And then it was good old copy and paste time again. And then I added some pretty simple pulses to the part, which was very simple and very easy to make. Now, if you're wondering why this video is so short, obviously this was done entirely in post-commentary, which naturally means that the video would be shorter. And the reason why it all is in post-commentary is, of course, because I forgot to turn on my microphone, but luckily I have a new microphone now, and hopefully I won't make that mistake ever again. But we will see, maybe I'll make it like dozens of times in the future as well. The only thing that I did record in live commentary was this part, so let's get to it now. In all honesty, I'm not the hugest fan of this part, like it's very messy and very unusual to my other work, like in comparison to this part which is more straightforward and more slick. This hits you very hard, and it kind of reminds me of the transition from Codex to Shock in Cybernetic Crescent. But yeah, the final thing to do now is of course add the names of the members of my channel to the part. Thank you so much to my members: Dastinity, GhostXan, RSD621, Qafo, Zosia, Lewko, Felmix9, Wowzy, H-Physics, Malachad, Lime, and Cohen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and special thanks as always to my members. You guys are the best. And yeah, let's get to the final showcase of the level so far. And one final thing, I've uploaded the final poll for you guys to vote on what level I should do next. So yeah, go vote on that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye. So you guys have decided that the Ultimate Insane Demon's second to last victim will be Ado by Zobros and Etzer. Today I'll be remaking the first Q part of the level, and so let's see what I made and how I made it. So we are finally back again with the Ultimate Insane Demon after over 3 weeks now, and obviously the level that I'm gonna remake now is Ado. This episode will be way more interesting to make, considering that unlike the part being 8 seconds as like some of these other parts, I think this is like 14 seconds long. But yeah, without further ado, let's just begin with the gameplay. Since this is Ado, which doesn't have the greatest gameplay, I don't think it'll take that long for me to make a gameplay for this. I'm very glad that I got Ado, since the entire gameplay for the cube is literally just click sync, and so I decided to do the same here, which means that most of the gameplay making will be pretty much the same. I'll put some J blocks here just to be nice. Let's have a spike here. Let's put a star position here because I'm lazy. I'll put a yellow portal here so that you go down to the floor again. I can put 2 pink dash orbs like this. Maybe space it out a little bit. What if I put a mini portal here? Maybe that could work. Since I had to spend a lot of time just adjusting the click sync to work well, I didn't really commentate that much, which is a huge problem when you're literally making a video. So I guess I'll have like another orb here, or what I can do, I can have an orb here and then a platform here. What I want there to be, I want there to be like a timing like this. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to make this work well. I spent over 10 minutes just tweaking this and trying to making it feel consistent, and after a while I managed to make it feel consistent. Yeah, that's good. I want it to be a bit shorter though, so maybe to there? Yeah, that's good. And then I guess once you exit that part and go into the other part, then it fades back on. But yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good part. So yeah, let's just see what all of the gameplay looks like in its entirety. Nice, dude, I'm actually really proud of this gameplay. I was expecting it to be pretty lazy gameplay, considering that, well, Ado does not have that good gameplay, even in the cube part. Yeah, but yeah, I actually really like this. What I'll do now, I'll just structure it off camera, and then I think I'll begin with a block design for that. So let's see how that will go. Okay, so I've finished all of the structuring, and I've also done some changes to the gameplay. Like, I felt like the yellow orb that was originally here was a little bit too evil, so I reverted that to a pad. I feel like the part just flows way nicer now. To begin with the decoration, I obviously started on the outlines, but I did some more interesting stuff with the outlines, like putting some outlines inside of the outlines. I added a lot of outlines to this, as you can tell. Then on layer 2, I want to use like these objects. So I can maybe make these black, yeah. I kind of want to figure out a way to connect these better now. So do something like this, I guess. Alright start, but it's definitely way too simple. I also want to change the object color. And then on the same layer as I'll do this glow, I'll use these objects right here. However, those will be a white blending color. Then obviously blacker inner outlines on layer 4. I really like the final product of the design, but I feel like the only problem it had was that it was way too unoptimized, and I probably added a little bit too much glow to the design. We're not there yet though, as now I'm trying to make some more details to the inside, which was harder than I expected. What I can try to do is use some like wavy objects on the top of the design. And do something like this maybe, and make that like the blending color. Something that I want to do now is copy this glow, make that object color blending, and then just put that on the top. Like this, yeah, now we're talking. What if, like, on a new layer, I can try to use, like, half circles a lot? And so, where this can be, like, B2, I don't really like the overlaps. I feel like what I probably should just do is kind of, like, try to reconstruct this in a way. I simplified these circles and made it so that they kind of look like lens fillers to the design, which I think looks pretty cool and is also pretty original. I can do some like half circles on the edges. I'll use these objects right here and kind of just copy paste them. Then I can also half space some of them and make those be smaller and also further in. But yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then I guess I can put some like spinning circle objects on the inside. I spammed these rotating objects like a lot, but they actually look really cool and it's probably my favorite detail of the design. I did add some more details to them just to make them look less boring. What if I do something that like a lot of people do very like, I can use like these tech objects, make them be object colored and then align them to the edges so that they're like frails or something. And then something else that I want to add on the edges is some bush objects. And then put those on the edges here. Yeah, this is very interesting and very like strange, I guess, but it looks cool. So yeah, I like it. What if I use some fading lines here? I'll copy them like this. I can scale this down to 0.3 scale and scale this down to like 1.1 scale, and then kind of just put this around like a random detail. What I'm gonna do now is the 3D. Obviously, you can never go wrong with 3D. To be honest, this 3D was basically just the same as most of my normal 3D. However, I did add some bush objects to the edges, cause that was used in Ado. Yeah, I guess that's better. And so since I have these bush objects on the 3D, I don't really know if I should add spikes on the 3D. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of this block design actually, I really like it. So I feel like what I'll do now is just copy and paste this throughout the part. I'm kind of worried for how long this will take, considering that this is a pretty detailed block design and this part is very long, but hopefully it won't take that long, right? And while I'm filling in the block design, I'll humbly ask you to please subscribe. I spend a lot of time on these videos and any support would be highly appreciated. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But let's get back to me remaking Ado. What I kinda wanna do now is do like a pretty simple custom background for this, which is basically just gonna be some like pillars. These pillars were meant to be pretty simple, however they took about an hour to design, which is probably the most out of any custom background I've ever made. I'm gonna put some lines in this. Let's say if I do something like this, and then I can also copy and paste it to the other side. It does look very weird as a white color, so what if I make it black? What if I use like these in the center maybe? I can make the inside be half opacity black, and then I can just copy it, scale it down, and just make it brighter with like a bit more hue each time. So do like this, that's kinda cool. I then added some glow beams to the middle of the design and made the design feel more colorful. I then added the pillars into the part and gave them some movement, which was way more annoying than I had ever expected. But yeah, I'm divided on either making 162 be like half opacity, or if I just put some like drop shadow behind the box. I'll probably do the drop shadow, yeah. So for that drop shadow, I'll just go on like, let's say layer 11. Black glow on B3, let's say -8. Make that entirely black and let's say 4 times scaled. After placing this drop shadow to all of the structures, I began with the ground spikes, which was pretty interesting and pretty fun to make. So what I want to do now is work on some ground spikes, where I want to do some more simple stuff. So let's say I'll use these ground spikes right here. If I can select them first of all, I can copy paste them on top of each other, move that back. I could try to add like these ones, but make them like more spiky and also smaller. So make these be like yellowish as well, and then a bit less saturated, I guess. But what if I use like these ones and they can be like some spiky things that kind of stick out from the ground spikes. And then finally I want to put some like rotating objects in the ground spikes. And then I guess finally I'll add some like black glow behind all of this to section it off in a way. I then copy and pasted the ground spikes throughout the part, and then began with some arrows to fill up some empty space. So what if I take a normal arrow, which can, let's say it can just be like the color of the background but a bit brighter, and this can be also a bit brighter, but it can also be like yellow, so it'll be even brighter. After spamming some more triangles, I added some glow to the arrows. So I'm gonna make this be white blending, and I'm gonna make this just be background blending, and then shift all of it on top of itself. And then I want to copy it to the side and make this be like yellow, and then scale that down even more. What if I align this straight to the center? I then take like one of these objects, or maybe the big ones, and then scale that down. That be light background and then just way darker. I then added even more glow to design and gave it some rings, and with that the design was actually done. And then I would spend around 10 minutes copy and pasting the arrows throughout the part. Okay, I think that's all of the arrows, so let's see how they look into the part. Yeah, I like them. They fit pretty well into the part. What I kind of want to do now are some saw blades, which for these saw blades, I'll use the classic 1.0 saw blades, these ones. First of all, I'll give them like an outline, so let's copy it, scale it up, and also rotate it like this, let's say. Make that be either blending or like light background. For this saw blade design, I spammed a lot of different types of saw blades into it, and I gave them some coloring and layering, which made them work together pretty well. And then maybe I can have this saw blade on the inside of that. The base be black, and then yeah, I feel that's kind of good as it is. Then I want to rotate it kind of like this in a way. I don't know exactly where I've seen these before, but I did see them somewhere and they look pretty cool. And then on T2, I want to add some blending glow to the top of this, like this, yeah. And then below that, I want to put some black glow. And after adding a chain to connect the saw blades to the structures, the saw blade design was pretty much done. So yeah, now I'll just put this throughout the part, and after that begin with some other details. Okay, so I've placed in all of the saw blades now, and the part is looking even more alive now, which is really nice. I feel like what I'll do now is the spike design, which surprisingly I haven't done yet. So here I kind of just want to go overboard with the like spike spam that I always do. So let's say this one can be more hued and stuff. Copy paste another one a bit further down that can be not as hued. And then I can do these spikes, which can be even smaller. These are probably the most generic spikes in the level, but to be fair, what else could I have done? Ado just uses normal spikes and nothing else. I don't want to put glow on every single one of the spikes. I kind of want to put glow on every other spike maybe. So let's say this yellow spike will have glow, but the orange spike will not have glow. So kind of like that. That's a good spike design. So yeah, I'll just put that throughout the part. And also, I don't know why I have never done this before, but I'll make the main spike group parent and easily flip this around. Yeah. So yeah, now it's time to paste the spike design throughout the part. Yeah, the part just looks so much better now with the spikes. I feel like the part is actually pretty close to finished. Now what I want to do is some slight orb design. I don't want to do too much. I can try to use this object, make that like black, and then make that be, let's say, T1. Copy it, scale that down, and make that be like the blending color, but with less saturations, more brightness. Maybe I can add like this object here. I don't know, I'm just spamming random objects here and seeing if they fit. I want all of this to be the same rotation, like this, yeah. And I then put the orb design throughout the part. Yeah, that's pretty good. I feel like the final thing that's needed now are just some pulses, but they're very boring. I'll just do those off camera. And also, this transition definitely has to be fixed. But I feel like the last fun detail that I'll add now are the names of the members of my channel. So thank you so much to all of my members: Dastinity, GhostXan, RSD621, El Padre, Qafo, Felmix9, Wowzy, Malachad, Lime, Cohen, RionFX, Ripluck, Skechiest, Rolling 2400, and Kirbyaxolotlgmd. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This was definitely the hardest level to remake, and a special thanks to the members. As always, you guys are the best. And let's just get to the final showcase of the level so far. Now, if you're curious, there won't be any more polls, as the Ultimate Insane Demon's final victim will be Fallen Club by Tried. It's been over 150 days since I began the Ultimate Insane Demon, and now the series will finally come to an end. And the final victim for the Ultimate Insane Demon will be Fallen Club by Tried. So let's see what I made and how I made it. So we are back for the 50 millionth time of the Ultimate Insane Demon. And honestly, this might actually be the final episode of the entire level. And as you guys definitely know, and a lot of you guys have hoped for since the very beginning, the final level that I'll be remaking is of course Fallen Club, which was my first Insane Demon. So this is definitely the Insane Demon I have the most experience with, and yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this will go. When it comes to remaking Fallen Club, I'll do the spider part in this video, and I'll do the final cube in a live stream finishing off the level. So obviously, since Fallen Club is a memory level, I kinda wanna use some memory here as well. So I guess I can begin with some pads right here. And I want to do some structures that kind of feel like vines. I wanted to do something similar with the gameplay for the previous part, where I wanted to have some more simple gameplay and not have it be too gimmicky and too confusing. Although it still had to include a lot of memory. This is a really weird click pattern that I'm building, but whatever. I guess I can put some invisible spikes here. Here I tried to do something gimmicky with some rotating orbs, but I felt like it was way too weird to do that, and it would also be pretty hard to decorate it, so I just changed that to some normal orbs instead. I can do something like this, so it's still kinda memory, but not that obtrusive. These structures literally look exactly the same. I'll probably do a pink dash orb and make it also be a bit faster. Now, this entire video was recorded while I was sick, so even though I'm really surprised I actually managed to make something, I also didn't have that great commentary in the beginning, so I think I'll just skip through a lot of this. I need to make it so that if you just fall like this, yeah, then I don't want you to kind of survive. And then right here you can have that like pretty so-called lazy thing that was in the end of the spider part, like this. Yeah, so that means, well, let me just get to the part. It's kinda cool. I then changed some gameplay and buffed the part a little bit because it didn't feel that natural at the moment. So I think this will be the finished gameplay for this part. Pretty proud of it, and it's also pretty unique. I would like to do more, but this is a really little amount of gameplay. So I think what I'll do now is work on some structuring and maybe also patch some skips. And after that, I'll begin with the block design for the part. Okay, so now it's actually time to begin with the block design, and of course, I'll just begin with some simple outlines. Now, what I want this part to look like is an overgrown jungle, so kinda like expanding the theme that Tried had for the original idea of this part. And so to get some good inspiration for this part, I tended to look a lot to the golden, which surprisingly gave me a lot of ideas later on. But anyways, let's add some more details, like some bricks. You know, Triad is pretty much a #1 brick enjoyer, so I guess I'm gonna use those as well. I want to try to do some low opacity glow. So you see, that's some good shading, I like that. However, this still feels a bit too simple. It just kind of looks weird, you know. probably do some glow lasers instead. I don't know exactly how I'll make them work. Maybe I'll make them sideways. You know what, I'll just make this base be even less saturated, just to make it feel more like a jungle in a way. I want to change the object color to be a bit more olive and also a bit less saturated. But then I gotta crank up the saturation on these blocks, however. Since the sort of color scheme that I want for this is something a little bit similar to the golden, actually. On layer 6, I want to try to add some of these, like, circular objects and kind of make them work as vines in a way. This is one of the main details that were inspired by the golden, and they're probably my favorite details of the entire design. Although it did take a while to make them look right. Maybe I'll try to do something simpler with it. Like, let's say instead of spikes I can use some grass objects. Do something like this, and then also place some smaller grass objects as well. I would later add some shadows behind the vines to separate them more from the actual blocks. On layer 7, I want to implement these blocks. I don't really remember last time I used them in this level. Maybe I can do something like this on T1, copy them on B1, and make those be darker. I mean, again, right now it's just probably. Can add some like blending object colored glow on the top. Extend that to the sides here. I then added some more details to the outlines because I was pretty much just out of ideas now. I really like that. Yeah, it's really cool. Now, something that I also want to do is add some like vines hanging below this. I want to try to use the same objects as the original level used, however just try to expand on it. So Fallen Club used these objects, so I kind of want to try to do something better than this, because I'm not the hugest fan of it, but it's cool, and it works pretty well with the simple nature. The vines themselves was pretty easy to implement, however, adding some glow to them was pretty hard to do. I guess the blending just wasn't blending. Let's say I can, again, resort to using glow lasers again. Put some like glow lasers on the side, and then put that on the other side as well. And then I guess I can put some like glow on top of this. Just kind of put that throughout. I mean, see, that's kind of cool, you know? And then I just want to speedrun some pretty simple 3D, so let's just do that real quick. Okay, so the 3D has been speedrunned, and since I didn't feel like adding 3D to the bottom, I just added some pretty simple shadows. But yeah, this is actually turning out to be looking like a pretty cool design. I do obviously want to add some more stuff to it, however, I don't really know what I can add to it right now, so I'll just think of something. I do kind of want to add some like alive stuff to this, but I'll probably do that with some of the other details, as I feel like the block design is actually pretty well done right now. What if I use these glow lasers more and just kind of use them to connect to the different structures? Yeah, I guess that works. So, but anyways, with that out of the way, let's just fill in the block design to the rest of the structures in this part. And while I'm filling in the block design, I'll just humbly ask you to please subscribe. I spend a lot of time on these videos, so any support would be highly appreciated. I also have memberships, so smash that join button for tons of cool perks. But anyways, let's get back to me remaking Fallen Club Part 1. Okay, so pretty much all of the block design has been filled in. I don't know why I said pretty much. All of the block design has been filled in. Now, I didn't fully explain this while I was making the block design, but I kinda wanna combine Fallen Club with the golden when it comes to this spider part, since I feel like that's a combination that isn't too far-fetched and that could actually work pretty well. For example, the next thing that I'm gonna do, which will be the ground spikes, I want to make it that be very, very claustrophobic. So I want to use like these as like ground spikes, and I want to see something. So if I then take, let's say, these ground spikes below that, okay, so that is like good enough, yeah. So I'll just begin by putting all of this throughout the parts. So let's see. It's cool, but I gotta change the ground color. But I don't want the ground spikes to just be this, so I'll add some more stuff to it as well. Like some bushes. Okay, why can I not select the bushes? There we go. I then added some rotating objects to the ground spikes and some glow to the top and bottom, and with that the entire ground spike design was complete. And yeah, I'll just think of some spots to put saw blades. But first of all, I gotta design the saw blades, so for this I want to try to use these ones, which is gonna be pretty hard since these do not look that good, but hopefully I'll figure out something. I didn't do that much interesting with this saw blade, like it was pretty much just some of my normal details but implemented to make them work with these types of saw blades. However, that doesn't mean that they look bad. And then I want to use some rotating objects like in the original part, but make it be darker. And then I want to try to use the smaller variations of these. The smallest one is invisible, so I guess I can do this. However, I do want to section it off, so I can add some black glow to section that off. Okay, maybe some half opacity black glow. Then I can copy it, put that on T2 and make that be blending glow. These rotating objects make the saw blade feel a little bit too big though, so I'll scale those down to, yeah, something like this. And then I want to make a smaller variation of the saw blade, so let's do that real quick. Okay, let's see, how does this look with the saw blades? Oh yeah, this looks so much better. Now, something that I also really like about this part is that like everything feels really, really dark, except for the main block design and all of the main gameplay. So that while you can still feel that it's a very dark and claustrophobic part, you can also very clearly see the block design and kinda where you have to go. However, because there's memory in this, it'll be pretty hard to know where to go without learning it. But yeah, I'm actually a pretty huge fan of this part so far, and what I want to do now is work on the spike design. For these spikes, I wanted to implement some invisible spikes just to make it feel like it has more memory to it. And also, it's a pretty unique decision that I haven't really seen before. So let's say this can be a normal spike, however I can give it a bit more hue, say plus 12 or something. I think I have some spikes here that I can put into this. Yeah. Basically what I did for those spikes is that I used some of the bush objects and I put those inside of the spikes, just making it feel as messy as possible on the very inside. I haven't added any glow to this, which is a heinous crime, so I'll just add some very nice glow to this. Something like this probably. And then I can put two glow pieces right here, make those T2, make that be glow and make that be, yeah, like that in a way. See, that's a cool spike. So yeah, I think those will be the spikes for the part. And then for the smaller spikes, I'll just remove the invisible spikes. Yeah, I really like these spikes as well. This part is just coming more and more together, which I really like. So now what I want to do is a custom background, and after doing the custom background, I'll just figure out some other stuff that I can do to make this part feel more alive. Okay, so it's the next day, I'm no longer sick, and I'll do some more progress on this part. I began by making the part feel more claustrophobic by adding some really large grass objects in the foreground, and making the ground spikes move as the foreground itself. And after this, I would begin on the custom background, where I also wanted to use a lot of focus on parallax to try to make the part feel more three-dimensional. Yeah, I really like that. So I also have this to-do thing right here. And so the first thing that I'll be doing is, of course, the background. Not entirely sure how I'll do a background for this, since this is a very closed in part, but I'll try something. So I guess I can try to do something pretty similar to the original part, which was just some bricks. However, I did bricks in the Acropolis part, so I have to do some changes to that. These bricks were pretty obnoxious to work with, but I realized that I just had to make them really goddamn big. I don't want it to be too similar to the background though, that's the main thing. For this second one, I can maybe scale that up for more variation. Maybe instead of making it a 0.8x modifier, I can make it a 0.9x modifier. And then to section this off more, I can just add some like glow behind it. And then maybe just scale that up to like 4 times. I should probably make the glow move as well, however. Yeah, that's cool. I want to add some grass details below this as well, so I can use these ones for that. See, that's cool. However, it starts way too late. I feel like that's the custom background done, so now I'll begin with movements. However, since movements are very boring to watch, I'll just do those in a time lapse. Now, if you're wondering about when I'm gonna stream this, I'll do it on this date right here, and in the following days, I'll try to stream myself verifying the level. And I think that'll be very fun for you guys to watch and for me to do. Okay, so these are the movements for the parts. I really like them. They make the part feel more, well, let's say, run down and destroyed as it was in the original level. And from one boring thing to watch to another boring thing, to work on the pulses, which are probably gonna be equally as boring to watch or even more boring. So right here, I kind of want to do something like I did in If I Had a Part in Phobos. I'll make the object color kind of pulse to a bright white color like this, and then pulse the background to like a way darker color. After some tweaking, these special pulses actually looked pretty cool. And then something else that I want to try to do is do like what I did in the Crazy 3 part, where I kind of make the background flicker a bit. Just making it be more and more of it the later you go on. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's cool actually. So the pulses weren't boring to do this time, which is really nice. Now it's time for the orb deco, which will be interesting. The orb deco wasn't really that interesting, as I just spammed a lot of random rotating objects around the orb until it looked pretty good. The bright glow does basically nothing because of the white on the orbs, so I think I'll do the dark glow, yeah. So now I'll just put this on top of the orbs. Yeah, now it's just time to put this on all of the orbs. Yeah, that's good. I really like this part. I really like this part. However, it's still not done. The final thing to do, according to the to-do list, is to add some indication for the fakes. There was pretty much nothing interesting to these indications, as I just did the exact same as I did in the Crimson Clutter part and in the first wave of my 9 circles level. And with the indication for the fakes, that is the entire part complete. It's not entirely complete, I have to fix this transition right here, but before I fix the transition, I'll do something fun by adding the names of the members of my channel to the part. Thank you so much to my members: Dastinity, GhostXan, RST621, Il Padre, Qafo, Zosia, Lewko, Elmix9, Wowzy, Malachad, Lime, Cohen, RionFX, Riplock, Skechiest, Rolling 2400, and Kirbyaxolotlgmd. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's get to the final showcase of the level so far.